peace all around, always peace. There is peace all around, always peace. There is peace all around, everywhere to be found. There is peace all around, always peace. There is love all around, always love. There is love all around, always love. There is love all around, everywhere to be found. There is love all around, always love.
Good morning. And welcome to Unity of Louisville. Yeah. Sorry about that.
Are you awake?
Yeah. So let's take a moment and open in prayer. So we just settle ourselves in for this opportunity filled with love and peace, with joy resonating from our hearts. We say thank you. Thank you for this day, for this healing opportunity for ourselves and for the world. We live in gratitude for all that is, and we move forward with light and ease and grace in all that we do. And in this joyful season, we let that joy and the belief in miracles spread forth from our hearts to all beings. And so it is. Amen. So I want to welcome each and every one of you here today. It's so nice to be here with you. I'm Reverend Valley Mansfield. I'm one of the ministers here. And I just want to acknowledge our group. It takes a village, really, to create these services each and every week. And I want to take a moment and say thank you to all of you, all of our volunteers here at Unity. We are truly blessed by you guys stepping up the last few weeks and assisting. I am truly blessed, and as is the staff. And I just want each and every one of you to know that. And if you have a desire to come in and just help, there's lots of stuff going on around here on a daily basis, so just come in and join us. We'll find something that you'll love to do, okay? Because we all have different gifts and talents. And for today, I'd like to thank Alex Roleader, who's going to be our daily word reader. John Spencer is actually on the piano, not Judy. Deb Reinhardt and Brocious and Don Reinhardt are our song leaders and special music today, and we are truly blessed by your gifts. Robert is on the soundboard, and James is on our PowerPoint. I'll be doing the meditation, and our guest speaker today is our own Gerry Boylan. So let's give Gerry a big hand. And I truly am blessed to have Gerry here with me and stepping up to do more and more. And I know you guys feel that same way, so it's good. All right, so now, please stand.
Join us in singing the first Noel. The first Noel, the angel did say, was to serve and poor shepherds in
Please be seated. We want to take a moment to acknowledge those that are here with us for the very first time. So if this is your first time visiting with us, could you please raise your hand? And our ushers will bring you a packet of information about the Unity movement and also about Unity of Louisville. Do we have any first-time guests today? Okay, there you go. Don't be shy. We won't bombard you, I promise. And how about anybody that's here for the second time? Yeah, thank you for coming back. And thank each and every one of you for being here. You know, wherever you are in your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. And we love that you've chosen this as a spiritual home. And we are truly grateful for each and every one of you. And so now we're going to greet each other in love and light. And for those of you that are new, we like to hug. So if you're not want to be embraced in a wonderful, warm hug, you might want to put out your hand really fast. And if you see a hand, let's abide by shaking the hand, okay? We'll give you a few minutes to create some love in here.
The first Noel, the angel did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel.
All right, let's be seated. And we're going to do our affirmations. Our seasonal celebration affirmation for our inclusivity and diversity today is together, celebrating one humanity, honoring the traditions of many paths of God. And our generosity affirmation, I am an exuberant, joyful expression of spirit, participating fully in the principle of generosity. And so it is. And now as we move into our Lord's Prayer, after our Lord's Prayer, you'll be surrounded in a moment of silence by the Oneness Blessers, energy workers, chaplains, and whoever else wants to share their love and light today.
O heavenly Spirit, who in love abideth, we worship thee, we praise thy holy name. Teach us thy children evermore to love thee. Thy will be done in earth as heaven today. Teach us thy children evermore to love thee. Thy will be done in earth as heaven today. Oh, give us grace to meet the coming morrow. Forgive our debts as others we forgive. Thou leavest not thy children in temptation, and from all error thou deliverest us. Thine is the kingdom, thine the power and glory, world without end, forevermore. Amen.
Amen. A reading of our daily word for Sunday, December the 22nd. And today's word, joy. My greatest joy is discovering the presence of God within me. Unity co-founder Charles Fillmore wrote that joy is the happiness of God expressed through his perfect idea, humankind. Witnessing the unbridled joy of children on Christmas morning brings a smile to my face and gives me a warm feeling. Although my childhood may be a distant memory, joy remains an active part of my life. I find joy in the beauty of holiday decorations, in the fellowship of family and friends, and in giving and receiving gifts. I discover that my greatest joy is knowing and feeling the presence of God within me. I recognize and rejoice in God's presence in me and in everyone I meet. I know that joy is always present and can be called into expression at every moment. Galatians 5:22. The fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, faithfulness. And so it is.
Silent night, holy night, all is gone, all
And now as we take a breath inward and allowing the seat beneath you to hold you upward. Taking another deep breath in and letting go. And just being present to whatever thoughts or feelings, emotions that are coming up right here, right now. And we take another deep breath in and we let go. We let go of those thoughts, those feelings, and those emotions for this moment, allowing us to be present to the indwelling Christ that is awakened within each of our hearts, within each of our souls, right now. We feel that love flowing through this physical body, lighting all the darkness, all the tension is erased, and the fears are swept away. By that love which is flowing in and through your being. We live in that magical moment of rebirth, the miracle of life that each of us is and will continue to be. And as we go deeper inward, we ask for guidance. Guidance into that which is yet manifested, into that mystery, the miracles that are unfolding for each of us as individuals, for this community, and for the universe. We ask for peace within our own being, within our families, for this community, and for the greater universe as we move into the silence. We say thank you for the guidance, for the guiding light that radiates all around us. We say thank you for the miracle of life that is each of us, that is our family and friends, and the life and heartbeat of this community. For the spiritual awakening of the universe. And we let love flow. We let peace flow. And we live in joy. And so it is. Amen.
A ray of hope flickers in the sky. A tiny star lights up way up high. All across the land dawns a brand new morn. This comes to pass when a child is born.
A silent wish sails the seven seas. The winds of change whisper in the trees, and the walls of doubt crumble, tossed and torn. This comes to pass when a child is born.
A rosy hue settles all around. You've got the feel you're on solid ground. For a spell or two, no one seems forlorn. This comes to pass when a child is born. It's all a dream, an illusion now. It must come true sometime soon, somehow. All across the land dawns a brand new morn. This comes to pass when a child is born. All across the land dawns a brand new morn. This comes to pass when a child is born.
Morning. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be free of suffering. May all beings remember who they are. I was reminded as I looked at the title of this talk, Give Peace a Chance, from that old song from the Plastic Ono Band years and years ago, that remember what a conversation between the philosopher teacher G.K. Chesterton and a friend of his. Friend said, how come you're still a believer? How come you still call yourself a Christian? Christianity has been tried and found wanting. And Chesterton looked at him lovingly and said, I'm sorry, my friend, Christianity has never really been tried. Another historian once wrote that peace is just a truce on the battlefield of time. As cynical as that might sound, that's probably what most of us believe. And I certainly include myself in that particular category. That it seems as if war or conflict is simply inevitable. And because of its supposed inevitability, we kind of, without realizing it, we sort of project that outward as being the truth. And of course, we know from our own ideas of creation and self-creation that as soon as we project something out there somehow, we are, in a very real sense, we are making it more real than it was before. Course in Miracles states that I must be mistaken, for I am not at peace. I always liked that. But as I sat with it for a while longer, I realized one of the other things that it was saying more than anything else was that peace is my natural state. Oh, really? Could have fooled me. It certainly doesn't seem that way in the outside world, and it certainly doesn't seem that way necessarily inside of me. You know, I could sit for hours and listen to John Lennon's Imagine, close my eyes, and just sort of be at peace for that length of time, whatever that was, or however long that lasted. And then as soon as the alarm went off or the telephone rang, I would get up and go, okay, well, back to the real world. Of course, every once in a while I have to ask myself, where is that getting me? And I realized that by doing that sort of unthoughtful dance in my mind, that I am actually creating what I don't want. This is where we find ourselves, I think, in many aspects of our spiritual path and many aspects of our own personal growth. We find ourselves creating that which we don't really want in the first place. I realize that imagining peace, imagining there's no heaven, imagining there's no hell, etc., is not enough. It's a nice little dream, and it can sort of separate me from the reality that I think exists out there, but it doesn't really give me a toehold in what really exists in the world that I'm living in. So it's kind of like I have my imagination over here, imagine what life would be like over on this side, and then I have what I might call a real world over here, and they don't seem to be able to come together somehow or another. So I really had to sit with this one. I mean, I could spout out all kinds of nice, wonderful little fortune cookie things about peace. And they might not even make you feel good, they would just be there. And then we would all go, wasn't that nice? Back to the real world. Back to the world of separateness, back to the world of conflict. In the books we are using on Sunday, our Sunday school class, which by the way you're all invited to anytime. You just can show up if you'd like to. You don't even have to stay. But in the books we're using, one of the things that is emphasized so often is opening ourselves up to the possibility, not even the quote reality, whatever that means, because I'm not really sure what reality means anyway. But opening ourselves up to the possibility that we could be free of conflict or that the world could be at peace. And that's what actually I notice that I'm doing without realizing it consciously. What I do before every talk that I give here. May all beings be at peace. May all beings be free of suffering. May all beings remember who they are. Is a very real way of opening myself up to the possibility that that can exist. Not trying to compare it to what I see on television, not trying to compare it to what I see in a history book, but simply saying, I'm not even going to run away or avoid that stuff. That's part of the world that I live in as well. But can I open myself up to the possibility that there can be peace with all beings, that they can be free of suffering, that they can remember who they are? That I can do that, that somehow or another, even though I might not be able to grasp this in my imagination, that I can still open myself up to the possibility that I can be free of conflict. Maybe even just open myself up to the possibility that I can be free of conflict for a minute, not for a lifetime. Those of you who are very familiar with recovery know that we don't talk about, not doing something for a year or 2 years or 10 years or 50 years. But it's a day at a time, sometimes it's a minute at a time, sometimes it's an hour, because that's all I can do. So I'm not trying to create the possibility of peace or non-conflict in my life for the rest of my life. I am opening myself up to the possibility that it can exist for me here, now, in this place. Of course, my mind's going to say, well, it's not going to exist in the parking lot. I don't care. I'm not in the parking lot right now. Is it possible for me to be free of conflict in this moment, in this place? I'm getting ready to go see the last Star Wars installment with my grandson Finn up in Chicago. And so I've been reviewing all of the Star Wars movies for the last 2 weeks, making sure I didn't miss anything. But I got back in contact with my friend Yoda, marvelous teacher. And I remembered this scene distinctly, even if I didn't see it again for the 15th time. But I remembered this scene distinctly when Luke Skywalker is on this swampy little planet where Yoda lives, and his X-Wing fighter has kind of gotten stuck in the swamp. And Yoda tries to convince him that he can, by using the power of the Force, can get it out of the swamp. And he actually moves it a little bit, and then he kind of gives up and it falls back in again. And Yoda says, watch. He sits there for a minute, he concentrates, and he sticks his little paw out, right? And he closes his eyes, and he goes, and he raises this spaceship up out of the swamp and moves it over to dry land. And Luke looks at him and says, I don't believe it. And Yoda says, that's why you fail. Oh. I don't believe it. That's why you fail. Wayne Dyer once said, you will see it when you believe it. So you don't wait for external circumstances to create the state of mind that you want. You use the state of mind that you want to create the external circumstances. That's just how it works. That works on any metaphysical plane you reach or teach or look at. That's it's always happening that way. Not the other way around. It's like us right now as a community. I know a lot of people, including myself, we're very much looking forward to moving in August and, having a new place and doing all kinds of other good stuff, and then that didn't happen. Now, I would be foolish of me to say there's not a little piece of my mind that's still waiting for something to happen, but I realize, unity is not a place. If I am like so many, and I know there are a number of people like this, well, I'm waiting for the move to happen. Well, you know, it might be a long ways. What happens to your soul when you do that? Well, I'm waiting until I feel better, and then I'll take my vitamins. Stop. It isn't what's out there, it's what's in here. This particular phrase was often associated with Wayne Dyer, but it actually came from the physicist Max Planck, who said essentially, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. Oh, I could see peace instead of this. Really? How do you do that? Well, I open my heart to what is. I realize that what's annoying me about you is not you, not the essence of who you are, because the essence of who you are is the same love that I am. It's whatever personality you created that I think is doing something to me. You know, to be like me saying, well, you know, I hate this, or I hate this parking space. Well, the parking space isn't doing anything to me. I did that this morning. We usually park along the outside of the church, and we don't usually park in the park. Well, that whole line was all filled up. I remember saying to Maura, I hate parking in the parking space here. It's like, the parking space isn't doing anything to me. It's just being a parking space. New York isn't doing anything to me. Donald and Goofy and Pluto aren't doing anything to me. They're just doing what they're doing. What am I so caught up in that brings me out of a sense of peacefulness? Because I think somehow or another, as soon as the world cooperates with what my vision of what I think it ought to be does, then I'm going to be okay. Guess what? I got a long wait. Can you open yourself up to the possibility of being at peace, of being in non-conflict? Just a possibility. And just when you do that, I'm not saying that's not challenging, but when you do that, something opens up. I don't want to make that overly simple, but I believe it's true. And I began to realize as I was working on this myself, because I have to work on all of this stuff myself, or it doesn't come out as the truth, it just comes out as something somebody made up. But I can be free of conflict when I am free of judgment. Now, that doesn't mean I'm going to stop judging, because my intellect, my personality self is going to keep judging until it drops dead. But as soon as it starts judging you, or me, or anything else around, I can say gently yet firmly, stop. I could see peace instead of this. I might not even know how I can see peace instead of this, but I can be open to that as being a possibility. My mind will not stop judging, because it's always judging. But my heart's wisdom goes beyond that. I don't care if you are this or that. I don't care what my thinking mind or what my judgment tells me about you. I have a choice in this moment, no matter how I am feeling. I have a choice at this moment to love you for the truth of who you are, to love the events in my life that show up as something that I even created, that is there to teach me something. Whether it's a flat tire or a broken microwave or a stubbed toe or a broken shoelace or the smile of a little boy that I don't even know. All of those things are there to teach you and me whatever it is we are being asked to learn. I'm going to close this talk with a piece of music. And I'm going to ask you to give me a moment while I get things set up. And while I do that, it'll just take about 30 seconds or so, but Hold me in the light as I'm doing that. Talking to you and sharing my life with you with a microphone in front of me and me standing here is an absolute joy for me. There's no pressure, there's no anxiety, I just am, and you are. Now when I pick up the guitar and get over by the microphone, there's a scared little 3-year-old that awakens inside and goes, "Oh no, oh no." So I'm going to ask you to hold that scared little 3-year-old in the light until I get set up, and continue to do that until I'm finished this morning, okay? Hold on a second. Looks like they made this for a tall person. In the mid-1980s, John McCutcheon, singer-songwriter from Appalachia, wrote a song called "Christmas in the Trenches." He heard a story about something that happened along the battle lines in France during what is sometimes referred to as the Truce of 1914. At various places along the battle line, the Germans and the British put down their guns and met in the middle of no man's land to celebrate Christmas. And what he did was he wove a song around a number of those different events that took place at different times in different places. He tells this story that after he wrote that song, he and his troupe were visiting Europe, playing some music. And he said this group of little old men would show up every once in a while. He said they were really little and they were really old. And he could never quite get a fix on them because they would stay for a while and then they would leave. And so one evening he put his guitar down and ran after them, and with the help of an interpreter said, "Hey, what are you guys doing here?" And they said, "We came to hear that song you do." And John said, "Which song is that?" They said, "The song about the war." Oh. And one of the old men said, "You know what? We told that story to our family and friends when we got home, and no one believed us. No one believed us. But it's true, because we were there. We were there." My name is Francis Tolliver. I come from Liverpool. 2 years ago, the war was waiting for me after school. To Belgium and to Flanders, to Germany to here, I fought for king and country I love dear. Forgot to mention this, but when the song's done, please just hold silence, quiet. 'Twas Christmas in the trenches where the frost so bitter hung. The frozen fields of France were still, no Christmas songs were sung. Our families back in England were toasting us that day. They're brave and glorious lads so far away. Lying with my messmates on the cold and rocky ground, when across the lines of battle came a most peculiar sound. Said I, "Now listen up, me boys," each soldier strained to hear, as one young German voice sang out so clear. He's singing
bloody well, you know, my partner says to me. Soon one by one, each German voice joined in harmony. The cannons rested silently, the gas clouds rolled no more, as Christmas brought us respite from the war. As soon as they were finished and a reverend pause was spent, God rest ye merry gentlemen, struck up some lads from Kent. The next they sang was Steely Knock, 'tis silent night, said I, and in two tongues one voice filled up that sky. There's someone coming towards us, the frontline sentry cried. All sights were fixed on one lone figure trudging from their side. His truce flag like a Christmas star shone on that plain so bright, as he bravely strode unarmed into the night. Then one by one on either side walked into no man's land, with neither gun nor bayonet. We met there hand to hand. We shared some secret brandy and we wished each other well, and in a flare-lit soccer game we gave 'em hell. We traded chocolate, cigarettes, and photographs from home. These sons and fathers far away from families of their own. Young Sanders played a squeeze box, and they had a violin. This curious and unlikely band of men. Soon daylight stole upon us, and France was France once more. With sad farewells, we each prepared to settle back to war. But the message haunted every heart that lived that wondrous night. Whose family have I fixed within my sights? 'Twas Christmas in the trenches where the frost so bitter hung. The frozen fields of France were warmed as songs of peace were sung. For the walls they'd built between us to exact the work of war had been crumbled and were gone forevermore. My name is Francis Tolliver. In Liverpool I dwell. Each Christmas come since World War I I've learned its lessons well. That the ones who call the shots won't be among the dead and lame, and on each end of the rifle we're the same. On each end of the rifle we're the same. All we are saying is give peace a chance. All we are saying is give peace a chance. All we are saying
is
give peace a
chance. Sing with us, please.
all we are saying give peace a chance. All we are saying is give peace a chance. Take that with you. Take that with you.
Although this is not a traditional Christmas song, it's a song that has a lot of Christmas in it because it's about prayer and love. It's a song we have sung for you all before, and we've had several folks ask us to sing it again. So we're going to share the prayer with you again this morning. I pray you'll be our eyes and watch us where we go and help us to be wise in times when we don't know. Let this be our prayer when we lose our way. Lead us to a place, guide us with your grace, to a place where we'll be safe.
La luce che tu
I
dai,
pray we'll find your light
cuore resterà.
and hold it in our hearts.
Ricordarci
When
che
stars go out each night,
eterna stella sei nella mia preghiera.
let this be our prayer.
Quanta fede c'è
When shadows fill our day,
lead us to a place,
guide us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be saved. Sognano mondo senza più violenza, un mondo di giustizia e di speranza. Ognuno Dio, ma non so vicino, simbolo di pace, di fraternità. La forza che ci dà we ask that life be kind,
il desiderio che
and watch us from above.
non trovi amore
We hope each soul will
intorno
find
dentro sé.
another soul to love.
Let this be our prayer.
Let this be our prayer.
Just like every child.
Just like every child needs to
us with your grace. Give us faith so we'll be saved. Health and decay, highest as high. Sento che ci salve.
Wow. That was amazing. Thank you, Deb, Don, Gerry. Touched my heart, that song, and the story. I'm Dave Freilich. I'm on the Board of Trustees here at Unity of Louisville. We're going to now do the offering. So if the ushers would come up. And if everyone would hold their offering in their hands. We're going to do the prosperity proclamation. With me, divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. Now let's say our prosperity affirmation. We are stewards of divine abundance. We give and receive with gratitude. So let's just see all these gifts put to good use to continue to further our message of love and peace and oneness in the world. And so it is. So we have some announcements. Check your bulletin for any activities, classes, things like that. Couple things. Christmas Eve at 5 o'clock, we're going to have a candlelight service. And Reverend Valerie, Reverend Gwen are going to lead, and John Gage is going to do carols of Christmas. Again, starts at 5 o'clock, Christmas Eve. Also on December 29th, we're going to have a burning bowl ceremony. So come and join us and release anything from 2019 that you want to let go of. And then on January 5th, we're going to have a white stone ceremony where you can set an intention for 2020. Those are very powerful events, very ceremonies. Oh yeah, also, anybody that's a member here that would like to be on the Board of Trustees, March is going to be the elections. So if you guys want to nominate, put your name in the hat. I've been on it for about 1.5 years, and it's been a great experience for me. So John Russell, he's the nominating guy that you go to, or you can see somebody on the board if you want to, and just let us know. We'll get your name in the hat. So the chaplains will be in the back after the service to pray with you, and the oneness blessers will be up front in the sanctuary to bless you. Now the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is.